Back at 8:08 this morning on Today investigates a terrifying thought to parents. Their children raped or sexually assaulted at college. And our victims say some schools are turning a blind eye. ABC's Jeff Rossing is here with more. Jeff, good morning to you.
Hi, Meredith. Important story for a lot of parents, especially the ones about to send their kids off to school. The numbers are staggering here. According to the Justice Department, an estimated 1 in 5 women will be sexually assaulted while in college. And when they finally find the courage to report it, our investigation found it may get much, much worse. Experts say some major colleges are sweeping these claims under the rug. Maggie Hurt went to school at Wake Forest.
They took away months of my life that I'll never get back.
Across the country, Margot Jonda was enrolled at Indiana University.
They just wanted it to go away. They wanted me to go away. They wanted it to go away.
Complete strangers with eerily similar stories, betrayed, they say, by the school officials paid to protect them.
They broke the promise that they made to me, that they would keep me safe.
Maggie was in the Wake Forest school band, cheering on her team during March Madness 2009 in Miami. After the game, back at the hotel, Maggie says 2 of her school's star basketball players, Gary Clark and Jeff Teague, invited her to a party upstairs. But she says the room was empty.
They open the door, it's completely dark, and I'm like physically shoved from behind into the room.
Maggie says while Teague stood outside, Clark took her into the bathroom and forced her to perform oral sex.
I was scared. He had big hands. He could palm a basketball, and it was on the back of my neck. I felt like if I didn't do what he asked, that he would hurt me.
Maggie says the sex assault left her terrified, but when she got back to school and reported it to the campus police, she was surprised.
They said the best option for you to do is a campus hearing, and didn't give me any other options.
Not to call the real police.
Right. Just to deal with it through them.
They knew from the minute my daughter walked into that police department that they were going to get this case and make it disappear.
The accused attacker, Gary Clark, was one of Wake Forest's most valuable players, a top scorer for the team. At the campus judicial hearing, Maggie says the school was more interested in protecting the players than seeking justice.
Their defense was she forced me to do this, that I was a whore and that I was promiscuous and that I was someone who would want this to happen.
Were you intimidated?
I was very intimidated. This is about them, and when it continued to be about me for the next 9 hours, I was angry. I was so mad because that's not the way it was supposed to be.
Through their attorney, Clark and Teague say the school did a full and complete investigation. They say this was a consensual hookup, that Maggie was a groupie who made bad decisions. The day after their hearing, Wake Forest found the players not guilty.
I felt like the school did it on purpose because that was a way that they got their money.
From the basketball program.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, victims' rights groups say schools across the country may be putting their finances and image before student safety.
Colleges are trying to silence these victims because it looks bad for the college.
The administration is trying to protect its image.
Yeah, the victims are being re-victimized by the school.
Margot Jonda says her case in Indiana is especially egregious. She says she was raped by a fellow student, Dwayne Fry, in 2006. He followed her into her dorm room after a night of drinking, and Margot says raped her as she passed out.
This guy was a predator, a violent predator.
And she says the university knew it. Just months before, Fry was charged with a felony for beating another student unconscious. And on his Facebook page, Fry had posted this sexual activity calorie guide. Removing her clothes with her consent, 12 calories. Without her consent, 2,187 calories. But at his rape hearing, Margot says Fry was allowed to smear her, saying she drank too much and slept around.
The entire tone of the hearing was the blame the victim.
And the school allowed it.
The school allowed it, they condoned it. They didn't do anything to stop it.
While Fry denies raping Margot, the school found him responsible for sexual misconduct. The punishment? counseling, and a summer suspension when he wasn't going to be in school anyway. Fry soon would be back on campus with Margot. What does this say about the university's stance on rape and sex assaults?
They don't have any interest in protecting their students. So the only thing I can think is to protect their image.
Margot says only after she complained did Indiana toughen the punishment to a 1-year suspension.
Colleges need help in doing a better job. That's pretty clear.
Ruslan Ali runs the federal agency regulating how colleges handle sex assault cases. She says blame the victim bullying is flat out illegal, and her agency won't tolerate it. Your agency has the power to punish schools who violate the law by withholding federal funding from them. How many times has your agency done that?
To my knowledge, the agency has never withheld or conditioned or terminated federal funds.
Critics say these colleges keep doing it because they don't fear any government repercussions. They don't fear any consequences. How do you respond to that?
We will do everything within our power to ensure vigorous enforcement of the civil rights laws and that institutions comply with them.
Wake Forest and Indiana wouldn't go into detail about specific cases citing privacy. But Indiana told us in Margot's case, a federal review found it acted promptly and appropriately. In a statement, the school told us, our campus police force is absolutely diligent in investigating sexual assault cases, but we must treat both parties fairly. As for Wake Forest, it says its response to Maggie's case has been misrepresented. We treat every student with integrity and compassion. Our personnel adhere to well-established policies and procedures that apply equally to both the victim and the accused. But these students say their schools let them down when they needed them most.
What they did was wrong, and I want them to know that I haven't forgotten about it. I will never forget about it, and these other girls that it's happened to should not forget about it either.
Miami police investigated Maggie's case, but the DA there declined to prosecute, citing a lack of physical evidence and witnesses. Both Maggie and Margot have since dropped out of their schools, terrified, Meredith, they'd run into these boys on campus again.
Yeah, I mean, the federal government talks a good game, but doesn't seem to do much about it if these schools break the law.
Now, the government admits there is a major problem here, and this is happening at a lot of schools across the country. And so they've actually, just last month, Vice President Joe Biden announced a new guidelines for these schools that are going to toughen things up, whereas before they would wait for a victim to have to come forward and complain. Now they're going to be more proactive and send investigators at the mere whip.